हेलो फ्रेंड्स, क्या हाल चाल? बढ़िया एकदम। आई वेलकम यू ऑल टू प्री वॉरियर बैच ऑफ क्लास 10th competition from Jagalpure Academy. My name is Jagalpure Mayur. In previous sessions, we have covered physics sections and we have covered 13 questions from chemistry section. Now today's session will be focused on these topic contents. Now you have to note this content. All the questions from today's class belongs to this content. Now let us begin with first question from today's class. Now the first question is from chapter types of reactions, that are endothermic reactions and exothermic reactions. Now what is endothermic reaction and what is exothermic reaction? Now endothermic reactions are those reactions in which heat is provided to the system, and exothermic reactions are those reactions in which heat is given by the system. Now what is heat given to the system and what is heat given by the system? Now suppose we take one container here, and here in container we add reactants, and reactants give us product. Now if I have to give heat to the content, I have to give heat to the reactant, and then reaction happens. This reaction is known as endothermic reactions. Now what is endothermic reactions? Basically in endothermic reactions we have to provide heat, and in exothermic reaction heat is given to the surrounding by the system in form of vapors or something else. Heat is given by the system to the surrounding, and here heat is given by us to the system. Now this reaction is called as endothermic reaction, and this reaction is called as exothermic reaction. Now endothermic reaction and exothermic reactions can be governed by formation of bonds. Now what are bonds and how formation of bond take place? Suppose I have H plus and I have Cl minus, H plus and Cl minus. If I combine these two, HCl will form, and this bond is ionic bond between them. When bond forms, always remember that bond formation releases the energy. Bond formation releases the energy. Bond formation releases the energy, and breaking of bond requires energy. Breaking of bond requires energy. Now in this question 4 options are given, and we have to choose which of the following is endothermic reaction. Now first reaction is NaOH plus we are adding water into it, and what is forming? Aqueous NaOH is forming. Now in this case, when NaOH is dissolved in water, Na plus and OH minus will separate. Na plus and OH minus will separate. Now many of students will say that Na plus and OH minus bond has been broken. Since bond has been broken, we have to provide heat, but it is not correct. When Na plus is separated, water gets accumulated near it. Water gets accumulated near it. This is known as solvation of Na plus ion. This is solvation of Na plus ion. This is solvation of Na plus ion. Now solvation process, small bond are forming in this case, and energy will be released. Similarly here also bonds will form. Solvation of Na plus ion and solvation of OH minus ion will be separately done here. This solvation releases more energy. So this reaction is overall exothermic reaction. So generally we have to remember this, but in this concept is from class 11th, not class 10th. But how to remember this, we can give this explanation for this option number A. Now option number B and option number D are both combustion reactions. Option number B and option number D both are combustion reactions. Now combustion reactions are always exothermic. Combustion reactions are always exothermic. Now what is combustion reaction? Any organic compound generally hydrocarbon, when we burn in presence of oxygen, CO2 plus water will be formed. CO2 and water will be formed, and lot of heat will be released by the system. When CO2 and H2 are formed, CO2 gets evolved. CO2 gets evolved, and this releases lots and lots of energy, and this is exothermic reactions. Note that all combustion reactions are exothermic in nature. All combustion reactions are exothermic in nature. Now option C says that we are heating sugar. Heating of sugar will give us carbon black. Heating of sugar will give us carbon black and H2O. Now this is experiment which is given in all schools. Teachers ask us to take sugar in bowl. Here suppose burner is there. Take sugar in bowl and heat it. When we are heating it, we are providing heat. Here it is, sugar is there. Sugar is there. Now when we heat it, we get carbon black. This is carbon black, and along with water will be vaporized. Now we have to provide lot of heat. We have to provide heat to the system. So this reaction is endothermic in nature. So option C gives us endothermic reactions. So option C is endothermic reaction. So correct answer for this question should be option C. Now in next question, the next question asks us that which of the following types of medicine is used for treating indigestion caused by overeating. Now when we overeat, it is not overheat, it is overeat. When we overeat, HCl is produced in the stomach. HCl is produced in stomach. When HCl amount is excess, then acidity, there will be acidity in our body. Now to reduce acidity, we have to take basic compound. Base is taken. Now generally this base is magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide is base which we take, and it is known as antacid. Magnesium hydroxide is antacid. Antacid is nothing but anti of acid. function of antacid is anti of acid. Anti of acid means its properties are anti to the acid, and anti to the acid is nothing but base, and when acid and base react they form salt and water, salt plus water, and formation of salt plus water is nothing but neutralization reaction. When we take antacid, neutralization reaction happens in body, and this is the neutralization in body. Now they have given 4 different options. They have given analgesic, they have given antibiotic, they have given antiseptic also. Now what is antibiotic? Now antibiotic is that the antibiotic is compound that prohibits growth of microorganism or which fights against microorganism in our body. Now analgesic. Now what are analgesics? Analgesics are painkiller. When operations takes place to reduce the pain from that part of body, analgesics are taken. Now C is antacid. Antacid's property are anti to the acid, and which forms neutralization reaction in our body. And antiseptics. Antiseptics is used to wash the germs. When we get wound, to wash the wound we use antiseptics. So correct answer for this question should be antacid, and which is given in option C. Now next question is application of reactivity series. Now what is reactivity series? Now reactivity series is we arrange metals in order. We arrange metals in order such that which metal has maximum tendency to react. Suppose A metal is there and B metal is there. Suppose A and B are 2 metals. Suppose A is more reactive and B is less reactive. So A is placed over B, and reactivity is decreasing as like this. This is reactivity series. Now they have given zinc plus CuSO4. It converts into ZnSO4 and Cu. Now in reactivity series, zinc is more reactive than copper. Zinc is more reactive than copper. We have to remember that reactivity series. Now when we add zinc to CuSO4 solution, since zinc is more reactive, it will form ZnSO4 and Cu is formed. Now this reaction, Zn is oxidized, and copper is reduced. We can remember oxygen is added to the zinc. Here oxygen is added to the zinc, and from CuSO4 oxygen is lost. In generally we can say that oxidation is gain of oxygen and reduction is loss of oxidation. From this concept we can say that CuSO4 has lost oxygen, so it is reduced. CuSO4 is reduced, and zinc has gained oxygen, so it is oxidized. Now this compound has reduced and this compound has oxidized, so overall redox reaction is happening. Now it says that the nature of the reaction, it is not double displacement reaction but it is single displacement reaction. But single displacement reaction is not given in option. It is clearly not decomposition reaction. And third is redox reaction. This compound is oxidized and this compound is reduced. That means overall redox reaction is happening. So correct option for this question should be option B. Now next question, they have given us balancing of combustion reaction. They have combusted ethane in presence of oxygen and CO2 and H2O is formed. Now C2H6 is there plus O2 is there, CO2 plus H2O is forming. Now here are 2 carbons and here is only 1 carbon. So let us balance this by multiplying it 2. Now when we multiply it by 2, directly carbon is balanced. Now let us balance hydrogen. Now here are 6 hydrogens and here are 2 hydrogens. So we have to multiply it by 3 to equate the numbers of moles of hydrogens in product and reactant. Now moles of hydrogen in here product are 6. So similarly moles of hydrogen in reactant also 6. Now we balance oxygen. Now oxygen, here 4 oxygen atoms, sorry, it is 4 oxygen atoms plus here 3 oxygen atoms. 7 oxygen atoms are there in product. Now for 7 oxygen atoms, here 1 mole contains 2 atoms. So we have to multiply it by 7 by 2. Now this is balanced reaction. But in balanced reaction, we do not give fractions here. So if we multiply overall reactions by 2, we get 2 moles of ethane plus 7 moles of oxygen. It gives 4 moles of carbon dioxide plus 6 moles of H2O. This is overall balanced reactions. This is overall balanced reaction. Now they have given this coefficient as X, this as Y, this as A, this as B. Now they have asked what are values of X and Y. So value of X is 2 and value of Y is 7. So correct answer for this question should be 2, 7, which is given in option D. Now next question, they have asked the property which is not shown by acids is. Option A is they have sour taste. Option B is their pH is less than 7. Option C is they turn blue litmus paper red, and option D is they feel soapy. Now we divide compounds in 2 categories. One is acids and other is bases. There are salts also, but we discuss here acids and bases. Now acids have pH less than 7 and bases have pH greater than 7. Remember that this data is for room temperature. For 25 degrees Celsius, this data is correct. Now acids are sour in taste, while bases are bitter. In acids, litmus is always red in color. And in bases, litmus is always blue. Now, in case of acids, whatever may be initially litmus paper, it is converted to red. And in case of bases, whatever may be initial color, it is converted to blue. Now in acids, red litmus is in red, but when we add blue litmus paper, it is turned into red. In case of bases, when we add blue litmus paper, it remains unchanged. It remains unchanged. But when we add red litmus paper into bases, it is converted to blue. Now, first option is they have sour taste. Sour taste. Acids have sour taste. Now, second option says that their pH is less than 7. Absolutely, this data is for room temperature. Room temperature means 25 degrees Celsius, and at 25 degrees Celsius, acids have pH less than 7. Now, option C says that they turn blue litmus paper red. In acids, blue litmus paper is always red. So, initially whatever may be color, finally it is red in color. Now, option D says that they feel soapy. Note that acids are not soapy. And you should also note that large bases of organic compounds are basic in nature. Sorry, they are soapy. For example, sodium stearate is one of the good example. Sodium stearate is one of the good example of soapy substance. Now, for this question, correct answer should be option D. Now, they have asked which is not property shown by acids. So, acids are not soapy. So, correct answer for this question should be option D. Now, next question, they have given us oxide. The question belongs to types of oxides. Now, there are three main types of oxides. There are three main types of oxide. Number one, acidic oxide. Number two, basic oxide. And number three, amphoteric oxides. Now, acidic oxides are those which react with bases. Reacts with base. React with bases. Basic oxides react with acids. And amphoteric oxide react with both acids and bases. Now, acidic oxides. Oxides of non-metal are acidic in nature. Oxides of metals are basic in nature. Now, oxides of aluminium, zinc and tin. Aluminium, zinc and tin, for these compounds, oxides are amphoteric in nature. Now, they have given us oxide O react with compound X, forms salt and water. Compound X turns red litmus paper blue. Now X, they have given turns red litmus to blue. Red to blue. Now only we have seen that when X is dipped into red litmus paper, it is turned into blue. So X must be basic. X must be basic in nature, or X must be base. Now O react with X. If O react with X, O should be acidic oxide. O is oxide. Acidic oxide, when treated with base, it forms compound, some compound. Now O treated with base, so acidic oxide are those react with bases. But since X is basic and O is, so we can conclude that O is acidic in nature. Now acidic in nature, it means that oxide O is of non-metal. Now option A says that metal oxide. We have concluded that oxide O is non-metallic oxide. So option A says that metal oxide, it is correct. It is not correct. Option B says that it is non-metal oxide. Option B says that it is non-metal oxide, which is correct. Option C says that it is metal halide oxide, so it is not correct. And option D says that it may be metal oxide or non-metal oxide. If it is metal oxide, it is basic in nature, and if it is basic in nature, it cannot react with base. If it is acidic in nature, then only it can react with bases. So option D also not correct. So correct answer for this question should be option B. Option B is correct answer for this question. Now next question says that element X forms chloride with formula XCl2. Then which is solid X would be? Option A says that calcium, option B Na, option C boron, and option D carbon. Now X is metal. X is metal and it forms XCl2. Now we have one crisscross method to tackle such problems. Suppose take metal X and take Cl. Valency of Cl is 1. Suppose valency of X be Y. Y be the valency of X compound. Now according to crisscross method, we join these two and we join these two. Now with one X there will be 1 and with Cl there will be Y. So if we apply crisscross method, we get formula of compound XClY. But they have given us that compound is XCl2. So if we compare these two, we get Y as 2. So valency of metal X is 2. So valency of metal X is 2. So it is alkaline earth metal. Alkaline earth metal. Now what are alkaline earth metals? The group 2 metals are alkaline earth metals. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. These are alkaline earth metals. Now X should be one of these. X should be one of these. Now they have given calcium. In first option itself we have got the answer. They have given boron. Boron does not belong to this. They have given sodium. Valency of sodium is 1 and they have given carbon. So carbon is also not correct. So correct answer for this question should be option A. Option A should be correct answer for this question. Now in next question they have given us calcium, strontium and barium and they have given that atomic mass of calcium is 40.1. Atomic mass of strontium is 87.6 and they have asked us what would be atomic mass of barium. Now according to Dobereiner's triad, if these three are Dobereiner's triad, if Dobereiner's triad, then atomic mass of middle element is approximate average of atomic masses of other two. Now here at middle element is strontium. So atomic mass of, suppose atomic mass of this be Y. So average of 40.1 and Y should be approximately equal to 87.6. So 40.1 plus Y divided by 2 should be approximately equal to 87.6. Now 40.1 plus Y is equals to Now y would be 175.2 minus 40.1. It comes out to be approximately 135.1. So near to the 135.1 there is option D, which says that 137.1. So this is nearly an approximation of Dobereiner. So approximate atomic mass of barium is 137.10. So it is given in option D. For this question, correct answer should be option D. It is not exact average, it is approximate average of remaining two. Now in next question, they have given the salt which will give an acid solution on dissolving in water. First option they have given KCl, second option they have given NH4Cl, third option they have given Na2CO3, and fourth option they have given CH3COONA. Now they have given first option KCl. Now KCl is combination of KOH plus HCl. Base in this salt is KOH and acid in this salt is HCl. It is strong base and it is strong acid. Salt of strong base and strong acid is always neutral. Salt of strong base and strong acid is always neutral. Now theory for this question is when strong base plus strong acid combine, they form neutral salt. When strong base plus weak acid combine, they form basic salt. When strong base and weak acid combine, they form basic salt. Now when strong acid plus weak base combine, they form acidic salt. And now when weak acid plus weak base combine, then we cannot determine whether it is acidic or basic. Now we have to remember this. When strong base and strong acid are mixed, neutral salt will form. But when weak acid and weak base combine, then we can't determine whether the salt is acidic or basic. But when one of the compound is strong, so we can determine whether it is acidic or basic or neutral. But when both components are weak, we cannot determine whether the salt is acidic or basic. In option 1, both are strong. Base also strong, acid also strong. It is neutral. Option B is given NH4Cl. NH4Cl they given. So NH4Cl comes from NH4OH plus HCl. It is strong acid plus weak base. So component is strong is acid. So acid will dominate. So acidic salt. When both are strong, none of them dominate. When base is strong, base will dominate. When acid is strong, acid will dominate. But when both of them weak, then we cannot determine which dominate. It is given practically. We determine them in laboratory and then we determine acidic or basic. Now option C says that Na2CO3. Na2CO3 comes from NaOH plus H2CO3. Now NaOH is strong base, H2CO3 is weak acid. So overall it will be basic. Overall it will be basic. Option D says that CH3COONA. It comes from CH3COOH, CH3COOH plus NaOH. CH3COOH is weak acid and NaOH is strong base. So base will dominate here and it also will be basic in nature. So they have asked which will be acidic. So acidic will be only NH4Cl. So correct answer for this question should be option B. So this is most important theory. This is best. It is most important theory and it is one of the best problem in today's class. Now next question says that solution of Al2SO4 3 taken thrice in water is not clear. They have given that why Al2SO4 taken thrice solution is not clear in water. Aluminium sulfate solution, why it is not clear in when dissolved in water. Actually it does not get dissolved, instead it forms precipitate. When aluminium hydroxide, they have given aluminium sulfate. They have given aluminium sulfate. They have added it to the water. Aluminium sulfate is given and they have added it to the water. Now in this case one beautiful reaction forms where aluminium hydroxide forms. Aluminium hydroxide forms and this is precipitate. Aluminium hydroxide is precipitate and this is precipitate is beautiful and it is called as white gelatinous precipitate. White gelatinous precipitate. White gelatinous precipitate. So we have to remember, how we can remember that it forms beautiful white gelatinous. It is like gelatin paper. It looks like gelatin paper when we take it in test tube. Now aluminium sulfate when treated with water, it forms white gelatinous PPT of AlOH taken thrice. Now they have given options that impurities present in salt. Clearly it is not impurity. Option B says that dissociation of Al2 aluminium sulfate in water. Let me check this option. Now third option says that impurities present in water. This also not correct. And option D says that none of this. Now when we add Al2SO4 taken thrice, aluminium sulfate, when we add to the water, the components of aluminium sulfate will decompose. Suppose aluminium plus 3 and SO4 minus 2. Aluminium plus 3 combines with OH minus and it forms AlOH taken thrice. This is white gelatinous PPT. And when sulfate ion combines with H plus, it forms H2SO4. So when aluminium sulfate is dissolved in water, it gets decomposed into its aluminium ion and sulfate ion, and aluminium ion combines with hydroxide and it forms white gelatinous PPT. And when SO4 minus 2 sulfate ion combines with H plus ion and it forms sulfuric acid. It forms sulfuric acid. So when we add aluminium sulfate in water, its aluminium sulfate decomposes into its component and it forms aluminium hydroxide, it white gelatinous PPT, and H2SO4 is formed. So correct answer for this question should be decomposition of aluminium sulfate. Now the last question of today's session, it says that pale yellow silver bromide turns grey due to. Now when silver bromide, AgBr, silver bromide, earlier days washing of photos, in earlier days when there used to be washing of photos, there used AgBr, they used to wash photos in sunlight, it is called as sun bath. So when AgBr is exposed to sunlight, when AgBr is exposed to sunlight, silver will form along with release of bromine gas. Now when AgBr is given sunlight bath, it decomposes to Ag and Br2, and this bath is called as photolytic decomposition. Photolytic decomposition. This is called as photolytic decomposition, and it is given in option B. So when photolytic decomposition occurs, bromine is brown in color, brown nearly gray. So when AgBr decomposes in presence of light, Ag and Br2 will form, which this is gray in color. So correct answer for this question should be photolytic decomposition of AgBr, which is given in option B. So this was last question from today's class. In next session we will do mathematics questions. We will do 12 or 13 questions from mathematics session. Now from today onwards I will be giving content of every session as like this. If you have mastered these concepts from your school teachers or from anywhere, so you can join the class and you can pause the video whenever I am giving questions. You have to pause the video and you have to solve that question on your own, and then you have to try that question so that you can listen my explanation. So आज के लिए बस इतना ही. पढ़ाई करते रहे. All the very best.